What's going on, everybody? One anti-hero here. It's been a little while, I have to admit. But hopefully this means that I'm back to regular scheduling, like every other day or so, like I used to when I did my nightly walks and whatever. Because I feel like this is a good opportunity and good time for me to get back in the swing of things, even though I think I mentioned in my last video that I had to sell my laptop to pay for other expenses. Life expenses, but I do have my phone still, so it won't be the greatest quality, but it will still be available. Now, first thing I want to say is thank you all who have been commenting on the videos. I'm sorry I haven't replied. I do see the comments because they get emailed to me, but it's such a pain to basically reply to them on my phone because then I have to go through like 3 different things from my email to YouTube, and YouTube on the website sucks, and you can't really reply that well in the app that I have, so it's just terrible. But I just want to say thank you guys for commenting. I appreciate it. I will get back to you guys soon, even though the comments are relatively old now, but a couple weeks anyway. But when I get to a legit computer, I can actually sign on YouTube as a legit source. So thank you guys for the comments. Now, there's a lot of things I want to talk about in this video. One thing I'm going to get into is Duelist Lines. It was just officially released last week, or over the weekend, and 3 new archetypes came out that I believe are basically automatically in the pushing for Tier 1. Shaddolls, Satella Knights, and Yang Zing, Cosmic Dragons, whatever you want to call them. Now these are all good decks, but the first thing I'm just going to say right off the bat, Shaddolls are not Tier 0. You guys need to, who's ever saying that, stop. The deck is really good. I think it has a lot of potential. I actually, hold on, believe it or not, I'm playing it myself. So, you know, I'm still missing a few cards, but I do, in a sense, have the deck made. And I know you guys are like, oh my god, you're playing a meta deck, quote unquote, but the reason is because I just like the archetype a lot, because they're almost anti-heroes of the Yu-Gi-Oh world. Like Shaddol Falco is Gusto Falco, El Shaddol Winda has Winda the Gusto on it, and so forth. And that really intrigues me, and I like their playstyle. Like, it's pretty cool. They get pluses. I don't have to explain what they do to you guys because they're just good. Fusions are good. The deck is good. The deck is not Tier 0. It's just a good deck, and it's very competitive, but it's nowhere near unstoppable. There's so many side deck cards you can play against it. You know, it doesn't necessarily have bad matchups, but it has matchups that it favors. You know what I mean? So, if you really think that they're as good as Dragon Ruler format, good luck with that. You probably shouldn't be playing Yu-Gi-Oh then, because if you're really that scared of this deck, Coil-Ops are going to be the death of you. So, they're just a good deck. They make powerful plays. They can plus a lot, but they're not unbeatable. So I just want to get that out of the way. They are a very good deck, though. There are some people that say, have you ever heard this? Everybody's like bashing them because people are saying they're the best. So of course they do anything to prove that they're not good. So you see all these replays, you know, online, in real life of like, oh, or people saying I beat my Shaddolls with my Raccoon deck or my, you know, whatever deck. Okay, that's cool, but it's like you have to factor in who their opponent was, if they knew what they were doing. If they knew how to play against raccoons, for example, or anything like that. So you can't really just go by off like what people say. You have to test it for yourself and see how consistently you do. I think Satella Knights are just as good as Shaddolls right now. Shaddolls will get better when their other fusions are released. Only 2 are currently released, so when the other stuff comes in the next set, or maybe the set after that, then we can see maybe a power return, but there might be new Satella Knight support. I'm not sure, so just wait on that. So, and Yang Zing, they're not a bad deck either. I don't think they're the greatest out of those 3. I think they're a little bit under Shaddolls and Satella Knights. I would put them, like, if, say, Shaddolls and Satella Knights, let's say they're Tier 1, I would put Cosmic Dragon's like 1.5 or 2, but probably 1.5. So, excuse me. That's that. So, don't underestimate any of those decks, but don't overrate them either. You know, just play your game. Another thing I want to talk about. ARG events. Now, I believe I said this. Actually, I don't believe I said this because this was a kind of last minute thing. I went to ARG Providence. I was going to take a semi-break from the game, but I was kind of forced back into it. Not forced as in if I didn't want to, but, you know, a friend of mine, Omar, shout out to him, he paid for me to go to ARG Providence, basically. So I went there, and I went from playing Dragoonies to Sylvans to Lightsworns to Boojans. So I ended up going with Boojans because I was most comfortable with it. It was like the day before. I didn't want to, you know, go with Sylvans because I didn't know the ins and outs 100% of the deck, and I felt like that would have given me a disadvantage. So I just wanted to, like, I forgot exactly what I paid because it was, you know, a couple weeks ago, but I basically went X and 3. I played with my friend Chris, who was playing Harpies. He didn't top either, but we were both 2-2, and we forgot that we could intentionally draw, which I want to talk about that in a minute. So he beat me 3 games, so I was 2-3. I stayed in because the rest of my friends were, you know, I wasn't like close to like getting top 32 or anything like that. You know, I finished like X and 3. Like I played 2 matches, I think, so I was 4-3. My opponent did show 5-3, and then the last round I just dropped because my friends were going to eat, and they still put me in anyway or something like that. Bottom line, I went X and 3. I didn't come close to topping. I did start off 2-0 though, but then it just went downhill. So, my 3 losses, I think all 3 were to Infernies, and 2 of those players, I believe, did top. One of them went undefeated. So, it is what it is. I just wanted to say, you know, I tell you guys the truth when it comes to, like, my records and stuff. You know, I didn't do so well. You know, I did finish whatever. Oops, sorry about that. X and 3, but I was X and 3 like round 5. You know what I mean? So like I was out of the contention after I went like 2-2. So the thing with ARG events is I don't like the intentional draw thing because I feel like it favors ARG players in a sense, or people who are like, I don't want to say ARG players in particular, but I feel like, you know, you should have to play. You know what I mean? Unless it's a draw, you know, like a regular draw. But also, they bumped their prices up to $30. Now, for some of you, that's not that big of a deal, $30 center. But if you did not pre-register, you got $30 and you did not get packs or the playmat. I pre-registered, I got the packs, but I gave them to Omar because he paid for everything else. I paid for my entry, but he paid for everything else, so I just gave it to him. But what I'm saying is, like, that's kind of a lot of money. Especially when Konami events are $20 and you automatically get the 5 packs. And it was 5, it wasn't 5 in the newest packs, it was either 5 Shadow Specters or like 8 Battle Pack 3. So it wasn't the newest stuff. And that's a problem, I think. ARG, the way they run it, like organization-wise and vendor-wise, they're good. But $30 and then the intentional draws, and then you don't even get packs for entry or anything like that unless you pre-register. That's not a good sign. I don't like that. So, yeah, I consider myself still a budget player, and a bunch of people who play this game are budget players. So spending $30 for a trip somewhere, and you're not guaranteed to get anything unless you pre-register, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm going to be honest with you. Even though the price support is good, I don't think it's worth it. So I don't think you'll see me at ARG events for a while unless it's really, really close and I have the extra money. But $30, $20, $10 difference, it adds up. So that's all I wanted to say there. Another thing, this is the last thing I want to talk about. There's a lot of people in the Yu-Gi-Oh community, especially the people I know, that will straight up say things that just basically either stretching the truth or aren't the truth. Like, I'm talking to this guy. I'm not going to mention names because I'm not going to put him on blast like that, but he knows who I'm talking about. He was on their team's channel doing a deck profile, saying he was X and 3 and he would have topped, but Infernies is the deck. Acting like he was he lost in the bubble. He was basically X3 by round 5 or 6 like I was. That is not losing on the bubble. You just lost. You were not close at all. One of our friends did top. He topped 32. He got 31st. Congrats to my boy Mahib with his creation. I'm not going to spoil that. But that's different. That's different. And some of you don't even consider top 32 a top. I do. For the sense of saying you topped. But it's not. You guys know what I mean. But don't, in the UQ community, just don't pretend that, you know, you're better than you are, or you think that you're better than you are. There's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And you should have confidence no matter who you're playing. Even if you're playing Patrick Hope and Fraser Smith, you should have confidence. Be like, you know what, I can beat them. And, you know, I'm going to beat them. That's what you say to yourself when you're doing. Now, when it comes to just talking to other players, you got to be realistic. You can't beat these pros if you're basically hardly topping locals. You never topped an event. Don't. Just be respectful of what they did. You don't have to like Patrick Hogan, Fraser Smith, Jeff Jones, any of these people, Billy Brake. You don't have to like them, but you have to respect what they've done. So don't say you can just go out and beat them because you're on your high horses because you won a local or two. You know what I mean? Just shut up. Work on your game. Maybe top locals consistently and don't go 0-3 or 0-4 places and don't scrub out at events and then think you can beat these top players anytime, anywhere. If you're really about it, play them for money, but you guys aren't about that life. So that was just something I had to get off my chest. You know, most of you guys, you know where you stand, where you fall, and everyone can get better. Consistency makes you better, not just one event or one local win. You know what I mean? So keep that in mind. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Hopefully this is one of many videos to come. So, thanks again for watching. I'm the one on Anti-Hero. You can click, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And if you're offended by what I just said, step your game up. Get better. And I'm not the best player either. But I know my limits, and I know what I need to work on. Y'all should take notes.